Hey guys, welcome back to Firearm Customs. I'm Michael, and I hope everyone's had a good couple of weeks. Guys, it has been a hot summer so far. Valerie and I went on vacation down to Ocracoke. I had intended on doing a little bit of filming while we were down there. And, you know, just instead of worrying about other things, I just had a vacation. So, today we're up at Glen's shop, as y'all can see, and we're back working on his truck. I think he said it's a 07 is what year this truck is. And if y'all remember from, I think it was February, not this past year, February the year before, we were having some trouble with this thing flashing the, so it was setting the check engine light for a knock sensor issue. And I have looked all over the internet, kind of trying to see if I can find something going on, and really haven't turned up a whole lot of information so far as the knock sensor. I've seen a couple of comments made that the knock sensors would go bad and cause a knock sensor code, or a knock sensor wiring would go bad and cause a knock sensor code. Well, fast forward to probably a few weeks ago, Glen called me and said that it had, well, he had actually, before then, he had gone on vacation, and while he was on vacation, he had a spark plug file out on cylinder number 2. And I think last time he put plugs in, it was because the spark plug had filed out on cylinder number 2. So I'm feeling like we got a lean issue. Hey, Glen, let me see that spark plug. I feel like we got a lean issue on number 2. He's got some knock sensors. We're going to check the knock sensor wiring. We're going to pull the intake manifold off because the knock sensors are below the intake. And we're going to try to check the injectors while we're on here. Yeah, it's definitely been a little, I don't know if y'all can see that. Probably not. But it does look like it has been a little lean on those plugs. So this plug, while he was out on vacation or out camping, he had to replace the plug in the truck because it was misfiring on that cylinder. So there's something going on with cylinder number 2's lean. To me, if it's lean, there's only two things. It's either got a vacuum leak on one of the runners in the intake manifold, or we got an injector problem. So we're going to jump into it. All right, guys, if you do something like this, I recommend to exercise extreme caution because you're playing with fuel. You're playing with open fuel. We've been trying to kind of look at the spray pattern. They all look about the same. So, Glen, hit the key, man. Like I said, they all kind of look the same. And like I said, do exercise extreme caution. Playing with fuel is not to set it on fire. So we're going to give this a second to kind of clear out the gas vapors, and we're going to pull off the intake, show you where we're at right now. So I think I said, don't remember if I mentioned, Glen said he had a lean code pop up one time, and he has replaced the spark plugs in this thing, but every time it's cylinder number 2. This is cylinder number 2 runner on this engine. There is a vacuum source over here that runs to that, and I'll have to do some research to see what that actually runs to. It looks like it runs down behind the intake. It may be what runs the 4-wheel drive on this truck because it's got vacuum actuated hubs. So that's close to number 2, so that's a potential source of vacuum. Like I said, all the injectors look the same. To me, the pattern don't look great, but it's really hard to tell, and I have no other way to drive the injectors from this point. There's another test that you could potentially run. We would have to have an adapter to hook my fuel pressure gauge to it, have an injector driver, and pressurize the system and drive each injector with that injector driver. Like I said, I do not have one. I kind of priced one this morning. I think you can get them for like $150. You may be able to get them cheaper than that if I did more research. But what you would do is you would pulse each injector. You pressurize the system all the way up, pulse each injector, and see what the drop was, and that would kind of give you like a flow balance. I don't have any of that. So we're going to pull this intake off and check the gasket, because I don't think it's going to be but a few more bolts, and put those knock sensors in. We got to pull the intake to put the knock sensors in and go from there. We'll be back in just a little bit. Alright guys, this truck is drive by wire, which means it does not have a throttle cable. It runs off of this motor over here, runs the accelerator. There is some crud down in this throttle body. I'm going to get Glen to go ahead and wipe that down. Y'all do this, be kind of careful with it. I'm not sure about the new throttle bodies, but back in the 90s when I was working for Ford, the inside of these are coated with a coating, and they don't recommend you use cleaner, but we're going to take and get some of that. We're going to get some of that gunk out of there to help it, maybe help it idle a little better, because it's built up and it's taken away from your throttle blade. So Glen's going to do that. I've got the injector rail off. I'm down to the intake. I don't know. I may have to take the alternator out of this, but we're going to get the intake loose and find out. Guys, I was hoping to have this out to y'all, not this coming Sunday, but the following Sunday. But we have ran into a weird technical issue. So I'm going to show you what all we found on this thing. I'm going to start calling Glen Puddin Jr. because he's apparently got rats. But no, I'm kidding. When we bought this truck, the gentleman that he bought it from had squirrels in his yard, and they got under the hood and ate the piece of insulation out from underneath the hood. And a lot of it is underneath the intake manifold, except for that it's laying on the floor. So for me to get the intake out a while ago, I had to unhook this knock sensor right here to get around the this thing has a variable intake on it. I'll show you that in a minute. But the knock sensor 2, the one that's been giving us an issue, is got the wiring harness chewed up on it, and it's chewed up on the engine harness side. So we're going to have to find some connectors, or we're going to have to find some pins to repin these connectors or something. And also the wiring, you probably can't see it from here because I can't reach it, for the variable intake have also been eaten. There it is right there. As you can see, those were eaten off as well. So far as any problems with a vacuum leak, I haven't seen any, but as you can tell, without the actuator back here that opens these flaps, that is all the air. That little 1.5 inch by 1/4 inch or 3/8 of an inch is all the air this intake will allow through here with this part not working. And what kills me is that it's showing a problem with the knock sensor, obviously because the knock sensor wiring has been chewed in half, but it's not setting a code on that. So I'm going to have to dig into that. Anyway, we're going to find the parts, and we're going to continue the video when we get the parts to fix it. There we go. Hey guys, the part of the video that's supposed to be right here got corrupted when I'm actually editing the video right now. So what happened was, the day that we found all the bad connectors on Glen's truck, we went out to the salvage yard and we pulled some new connectors, or clipped some new connectors off of a truck out at the U-Pull-It. And we come back, reinstall the intake. Basically, I think the only thing I showed in the video was, if y'all do that repair, make sure your knock sensor and your temperature sensor, your knock sensor on both sides, 1 and 2, and your temperature sensor wires, your temperature sensor that's in the right side head, they go over the little linkage that runs between from the flaps on both sides of the intake. I really think that's all that I had recorded in that video. Okay guys, we're out driving the truck, and Glen's driving the pure hell out of it, and causing my anxiety to go slam off the rails over here, and he's giggling about it. But I think we've got it straightened out. So when we get back to the house, we'll talk a little bit more. All right, guys, that is it. We are we're done on this one. I appreciate you guys stopping by and watching. I hope this video helps y'all out. If y'all have a similar issue, if you can't find anything online, sometimes you just got to pull the intake and try it. Anyway, like and subscribe. I'll see y'all later.